Hi everyone, my name is Rosalyn Piedosma and I am currently pursuing a Bachelor of Special Needs Education major in Generalities.
So, before anything else, let me explain the concept of developmental disability. The concept of developmental disability was formalized in the United States in the 1960s, but it was not widely recognized internationally until the 1970s. Its original incarnation in the United States in a proposed revision to the 1963 Mental Retardation Facilities and Community Mental Health Centers Construction Act. The term developmental disability was used in the place of mental retardation.
Today, I'll discuss the three different types of developmental disabilities. These are Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, Autism Spectrum Disorder, and the last, Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorder.
The first topic is Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder or ADHD.
Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder or ADHD that makes it difficult for a person to pay attention and control impulsive behaviors.
When we say ADHD, we're referring to a condition known as Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. It's a medical condition. Attention, the ability to sit still, and self-control are all affected in people with ADHD due to abnormalities in brain growth and activity.
Let me discuss the symptoms of ADHD.
The first is self-focused behavior, interrupting, not seem to listen when spoken to directly, have problems organizing tasks and activities, talk non-stop, and the last, be unable to play or engage in hobbies quietly.
These are the types of ADHD.
The first types is predominantly inattentive presentation. The second, predominantly hyperactive impulsive. And the third, combined hyperactive, impulsive, and inattentive.
Let me discuss the causes of ADHD.
The first one is brain anatomy and function. The second, exposure to environmental during pregnancy at young age. The third, alcohol and tobacco use during pregnancy. The fourth, premature delivery. And the last, low birth weight.
Now, let's go to the teaching and learning strategies for ADHD.
The first one is build a strong relationship with the child's parents. It is important that you establish a strong working relationship with the student and parents. The second, educate fellow pupils. If you child in your class, you should educate the other children in the classroom on the condition. The third, establish rules and routines. Establish short and simple classroom rules that are easy to understand. The fourth, reward good behavior. It's very likely that a child with ADHD will lack self-esteem and believe that they are simply nothing. And the last, create a quiet area. You consider creating a quiet area that one of students can use if they feel overwhelmed by the activity in the classroom. The next topic is Autism Spectrum Disorder or ASD.
Autism Spectrum Disorder or ASD is a developmental disorder that affects communication and behavior.
Autism Spectrum Disorder or ASD is a brain development disorder that affects how a person perceives and interacts with others, producing difficulties in social interactions and communication.
Let me discuss the characteristics of ASD.
Social interaction. A children with autism spectrum disorder have a difficulty with social interaction. Difficult coordination. A children with autism spectrum disorder may have trouble holding a pencil yet has a good memory for song or movie. And the last, difficult to analyze the color, smell, and texture. A child with autism spectrum disorder often have difficulty with the color, smell, or texture of certain foods.
These are the symptoms of ASD.
The first symptoms of autism spectrum disorder is not to respond to their name by 12 months of age, not point at objects to show interest by 14 months, avoid eye contact and want to be alone, have delayed speech and language skills, delayed movement skills, and the last, delayed cognitive or learning skills.
Let me discuss the causes of ASD.
The first one is genetic. A child with autism spectrum disorder can be associated with a genetic disorder, such as Rett syndrome or Fragile X syndrome. Still, other genes may affect brain development. Second, environmental factors. According to the research recently investigating whether viral infections, medicines, or difficulties during pregnancy, as well as air pollution, play a role in the onset of autism spectrum disorder.
Now, let's go to the teaching and learning strategies for ASD.
The first teaching and learning strategies is avoid sensory overload. A child with autism spectrum disorder may be bothered by a variety of anticipated events. The second, use visuals. Children with autism spectrum disorder can help since they are use visual or features, and modeling is more useful to autistic kids than a long explanation. And the last, treat students as individuals. When working in a school with exceptional learners, it's critical to exhibit tolerance, understanding, and respect as a future educator. The last topic is fetal alcohol spectrum disorder or FASDS.
Fetal alcohol spectrum disorder are a group of conditions that can occur in a person whose mother drank alcohol during pregnancy.
When we say fetal alcohol spectrum disorders or FASDS, refers to the umbrella term that can arise in a person who has been exposed to alcohol before birth.
These are the symptoms of FASD.
The first symptoms of FASD is low physical growth before and after birth, small head circumference, vision difficulties or hearing problems, poor coordination or balance, poor memory, and the last, trouble with attention.
Let me discuss the types of FASD.
The first types of FASD is fetal alcohol syndrome. Second, alcohol-related neurodevelopmental disorder. Third, alcohol-related birth defects. Fourth, neurobehavioral disorder associated with prenatal alcohol exposure. And the last, partial fetal alcohol syndrome.
Let me discuss the causes of FASD.
The first one, causes of FASD. When you're pregnant and you drink alcohol, alcohol enters your bloodstream and reaches your developing fetus by crossing the placenta. Next, when you're pregnant and you drink alcohol, alcohol causes higher blood concentrations in your developing baby than in your body, because a fetus metabolizes alcohol slower than an adult does. Next, when you're pregnant and you drink alcohol, alcohol interferes with the delivery of oxygen and optimal nutrition to the developing baby. And last, when you're pregnant and you drink alcohol, exposure to alcohol before birth can harm the development of tissues and organs, cause permanent brain damage in your baby.
Let me discuss the 5 teaching and learning strategies for FASD.
The first one, teaching and learning strategies for FASD, is structured environment, consistent routine, creativity, flexibility, and the last, compassion. And last, the importance of having a knowledge about developmental disabilities. It is important that we have enough knowledge about developmental disability so that we know their conditions. It also makes it easier for us to handle their children with developmental disabilities. We need to raise awareness about these conditions. It is also important that we listen to them without making judgments. Listening is very important when we provide help to someone who is experiencing developmental disabilities.
Thank you for watching and listening. Again, I am Rosalind Piedusma from BS Net 2.